It's day 4 here at SMPTE 11. We've got just enough time to run around the floor one more time to cover things for SMPTE Showcase.
We have quite a broad range of equipment that we do hire for various productions, from simple commercials right up to feature movies, as Anne said, in 3D as well. 3D is basically produced with 2 points of view, just like your eyes generate 3D. We need 2 cameras to generate the 2 images, which are from slightly different perspectives. So your eyes have a separation of, on average, 65 millimeters. What we do with the cameras to generate a 3D image is separate them in optical planes by the same amount. There's actually 2 images here. That is basically the 3D separation of the cameras.
The tripod might seem to be the most ubiquitous device on Earth, but it's absolutely a part of every piece of production for video and film. It's not generally known, but the fluid head was invented by Eric Miller here in Australia, in Sydney, in 1946. He spent about 10 years perfecting it before he was able to patent it and then take it to Hollywood in 1956, and the rest, of course, is history. Everybody who uses a tripod knows the feel of a really good fluid head. One of the things that we do look for here in Australia is innovation. Miller's piece of innovation for this year is this device, which is called the Solo Tripod. They were looking for a device which could be easily carried by a single person, hence the name Solo, and which is spreaderless. The spreader is the piece that normally ties the legs together and stabilizes the tripod in use. This one has special locking elements here at the top that make it very solid, even when it's extended to this incredible height, as this one is. But you've still got a device which can be picked up with one hand, folded up, tossed in the backpack, and you're on the plane.
The focus of our display here is the digital dividend, which is basically how wireless spectrum and digital TV and wireless microphone systems are moving forward in the future. I think we've been at SMPTE for about as long as it's been going, probably at least the last sort of 10 to 12 years. This has probably been the biggest SMPTE that we've done as far as people through the stand, which has been really positive given the climate of the industry at the moment.
One of the things I couldn't help noticing this year at the show is the number of people who are showing audio consoles for radio, the studio consoles that every radio announcer knows and loves. The radio console really hasn't changed very much since the invention of the slide fader. It's pretty simple stuff. What we do have is a lot of variation in digital and analog consoles, and the digital consoles particularly. Digital consoles, of course, have richness of function. You can reconfigure them very easily. They can be arranged to suit different studio environments and different ergonomic layouts. They still do basically the same thing that the analog consoles do. So why would we want an analog console? And one of the things that the analog console manufacturers will tell you is they're incredibly reliable and you can fix them in the field. So for example, here's an example of some electronic analog circuits which have chips in them, and these chips can be fixed. If you're in the middle of Australia, a place where there aren't too many shops to go and buy parts, it's comforting to know that you can replace the components with tools that we've been using for the last 100 years.
Well, what we're showcasing today is a range of products coming out of the professional broadcast division. We have our professional Pro HD broadcast solutions for cameras and monitors and mixers. We've also got Blu-ray recorders. We have what we call a 2D to 3D converter box, which in 3D mode, what that converter box is designed to do, it's designed for you to put a 2D signal in by HDMI or HDSDI, and it converts it to a 3D signal on the output. It's the only converter box that I'm aware of that does 2D to 3D real-time conversion on the fly, okay? So it's not stored or anything. It's real-time conversion on the fly, which we are demonstrating just right behind you.
Anybody who's ever used a vision switcher would recognize this design. It's become an absolute classic. It has the source buttons on the left, it has various controls for adjusting the picture in the middle, and it comes down to a button that puts the whole station to black at the bottom right-hand side. The multi-level effects design has been with us now since the 70s, and it's just an industry standard. So why would somebody be producing a new switcher, particularly somebody like Blackmagic who's producing it here in Australia? And the answer is because they can do it with more features and at an even lower price point. This one costs $2,500. If that isn't astounding enough, it has the user interface on the GUI which matches exactly what you're doing on the control surface. And so of course you can have either the operation from the GUI or you can have an assistant working with you. Just great for those moments when one set of hands isn't enough.
We are showcasing only a fraction of things that we actually have in our portfolio. If you spend time rendering, exporting, importing, the client will get upset. So in a nutshell, that's the reason why you would buy a smoke system or a flame system, because it's all the tools in one single software. If the client decides to do a little bit of tweaking the audio and applying effects to the audio, well, you can do it straight away in the software. So that's what generally is called a finishing system.
And that's almost all that we have time for here at SMPTE 11. As the show comes to a close, I've been asked any number of times, what would I describe as the most exciting product I've seen? What would I say was the best product in the show? I have to say, it's this one. We'll catch you next year.